Hey, quick note from editor Tiny. Throughout the video, I referred to the news story of 2x2 as the B-sides or the B-story. Forgot to mention that while I was filming, but Celeste must have been on the mind. So, just wanted to let you guys know that. That is all. Take it away, Camera Tiny. Oh, people are gonna not love this take. It's fine though, it can't be much worse than rank code. So we just get this video done, then I never have to talk about the 100 line again, and I can move on with my life, and everything will be okay. Okay, there we go, and... What just happened?
Danganronpa.
During Nintendo Direct on September 12th, it was revealed that Danganronpa 2x2 would be coming in early 2026. Not only is this going to be a remaster of the ever-popular Super Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, it's also going to feature a whole new B-sides plot, featuring the same exact cast but with a whole new set of mysteries to solve. Why Goodbye Despair is getting a remake before the first game? It's anybody's guess. My personal guess is that this was Kodaka's backup plan in case the 100 line just fell completely flat. Trigger Happy Havoc probably has more things that need to be updated, but Super Danganronpa 2 is probably the smartest bet. It is easily the most popular game in the franchise. Not that you're gonna catch me complaining about it. Super Danganronpa 2 is my favorite Danganronpa game still, even after all this time and beyond the emotional attachment I have to it. So, I would much prefer that this game gets a remake as opposed to Trigger Happy Havoc or V3. So you must be thinking to yourself, TinyLeaf, that obviously means you must be excited for it. I am! I don't think I have felt this excited about a Kodaka project since... I haven't felt this excited about a Kodaka project forever. I can't blame you though for thinking that I would just immediately come out of the gate saying, "Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare, this is gonna be a disaster." Well, I really can't blame you guys, because I have been very harsh on Kodaka's recent projects, and that cynicism is still very much there. But there is still that part of me that just can't not be excited about a new Danganronpa game. I'm part of the problem, aren't I? So, I guess I'm equal parts excited and nervous, because this game means a whole lot to me and I want to protect it with my life. So to try and untangle these feelings, I present to you my feature presentation, Danganronpa 2x2, the sandwich of hope and despair. It'll be sort of like a compliment sandwich, except I'm going to be focusing on the stuff that I'm very hopeful about in this new release, and the stuff I'm afraid is going to cause me absolute despair. And towards the end, I'll share with you my predictions for who's gonna live and who's gonna die. It's been a long time since we ventured into Danganronpa together, so kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh, and also, spoilers for these games, obviously. Okay, so our very first hope of the night is the updated graphics. Yes, I'm a simple bitch, but we gotta start off easy. The graphics, from what I've seen so far, are beautiful. This is such a nice change of pace. The last few Kodaka projects have been more reliant on 3D modeling than they have in games past, and they've also been set in more industrial environments. Think Kanai Ward, Towa City, and whatever is going on in the 100 line. It's such a relief to see that they're preserving the bright colors and 2D art of the original Super Danganronpa 2. 3D modeling wouldn't have been able to do these characters justice, and I am so delighted to be back in the highly saturated world of Jabberwock Island. And based on the images and some detective work on my part, I have noticed that they did update the sprites to be more in line with what they were like in V3 and some of the more new Kodaka games. I'm not sure how many changes they'll end up actually making to the sprites, but I hope that they go in depth enough that they fix Pekko's hair after all this time. Like, I get braids are hard, but come on, please, it's just recolor that. But that actually segues well into my first despair moment, and that is, what exactly is getting changed? it does seem like the art direction dips a little bit more into V3's style, and I have mixed feelings about that. Not saying that any of these sprites look bad. They all look very good, but I am going to miss the kind of distinct art style of Super Danganronpa 2 with the very thick, almost jagged outlines. It kind of feels like everything was outlined in a marker, and that's a lot closer to what I personally like to see. But again, that's more of a subjective thing. There's nothing wrong with the new sprites. I just will miss the original artwork a lot. Though one thing that I am more certainly on about is the tweening. No disrespect to the art of tweening. I can't do it. I don't have the patience or the skill for it. But after seeing these sprites static for so many years, it's going to be a major adjustment, and it nearly dips into the uncanny valley for me. And the last thing I'm kind of left wondering about is what they're going to do about the voice actors. It's been so long since the original dialogue for Danganronpa 2 has been recorded that I imagine that if you were to compare that with any recent performances side by side, there would be some substantial differences. Not as a dig at any of their talents, just as a pure fact of life. People get older. I'm just curious to see if they will re-record all of the lines for both side A and side B, or if they will keep the original ones and then record completely new audio for side B. It'll be interesting to see either way. I hope it's not super noticeable though.
Don't know where to run as I'm fading away.
I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry. Moving on. Punishment time. That is going to be my second hope for this game. Executions have and will always be my favorite part of Danganronpa, and V3s were among the best, except for them. So if 2x2's B-plot has completely new executions, that's a win for me either way. Regardless if they end up being good or not, I'll probably have a reason to redo this video after all these years. I'll have more material for my own execution that I've stopped working on but now have the motivation to do again. And if they end up being bad, I might have a reason to remake an execution. I struggle to see being disappointed by any of these executions. Unless they went like the, what's his name again, and you know what, it doesn't matter. Although, I regret to admit that my second despair for this game is if they're going to play it too safe. We don't know as of right now too much about what 2x2's B-plot is going to end up looking like, but reportedly there's going to be as much content in the B-side as there is in the original game, and to me that reads as there's going to be 5 new trials. And 5 new trials means 5 new Blackens, and that already eliminates these fuckers from the potential Blacken list. Unless the team decides to get lazy and just reuse a execution whole cloth, which would be pretty cringe of them. Or who knows, maybe somebody is just going to be cool enough to get 2 completely new executions. But mathematically speaking, some characters are going to end up being dead in both the original story and in the new story. So, how are they going to split up who lives and who dies? The artistic side of my brain sees this as an opportunity to focus on the characters who didn't get a whole lot of screen time in the original game, and to add further depth that would otherwise only be available in island mode. But the business side of my brain is like, if I were Kodaka and I was future-proofing this release in the event that the 100 line flopped and I had to sell my house, my kidneys, and I was about to go bankrupt, I need to make sure that I'm appealing to the widest audience possible. So what I'll do is that I will take all of the popular fan favorite characters and make them live as long as possible. Not a bad business decision. Unfortunately, though, some of the fan favorite characters are also the ones who have lived the longest, because that means more screen time, more chances to get to know them, and that means more people will go up to bat for them. No disrespect to any Komaeda fans out there, but the only way I'm gonna be happy if he lasts past chapter 3 is if Hajime straight up dies and Nagito becomes the new protagonist. Just because otherwise, I'm gonna be so pissed that you guys are getting so much screen time of your favorite boy, meanwhile, others out here in the trenches like me were begging for scraps. Now, hope number 3. it's actually a chance to re-experience Nagito through fresh eyes. So yeah, my irritation with Komaeda getting so much screen time is still going strong. But my frustration is not with the fan base, it's much more with the money men who want to milk this twink for everything he's worth. And before you crucify me, you might be glad to know that in the intervening years, I've actually grown a retroactive appreciation for Komaeda. If there's one positive thing that I can say about the 100 line, it's that it forced me to reckon with the reality that had I been on ground zero when Super Danganronpa 2 first came out, I definitely would have been a Komaeda fan. I'm not proud of that, but I probably would have been in the same boat as everybody else. We hate to see ourselves in the eyes of others. So I'm optimistic that whether he lives or dies in the B plot and however long he ends up on screen, that I'm able to foster a connection with him that I haven't really had a chance to before. Will I still bully him? Definitely. But it will be an affectionate bullying this time. What will not be affectionate, though, is despair number 3. The possibility Teru Teru lasts longer than chapter 1. I really love Todd Haberkorn's performances. He has such a beautiful voice. I'm just deeply annoyed that he always seems to voice the worst characters in these games. One of the unspoken truths about SDR2 is that one of the reasons it's the best is that it kills the most aggressive pervert early on, and so we don't have to suffer him. We just have Soda, who is already just kind of a disaster, but at least we have one instead of 2. So, unless they make Teru Teru less of a perv and lean more into his sympathetic qualities, I hope he dies super early because I am rapidly losing patience for perverts in this day and age. Okay, hope number 4. Missed the button. This is just a prop, but I want justice for some of these characters. I'm not even advocating for these characters to be survivors. I just think that they deserve a little bit more screen time. I stand by what I said 4 years ago. I really want Hyoko to have a more complete character arc. Whether that means that Mahiru ends up dying again and Hyoko has to live without her, or just in a completely separate journey takes place, I think Hyoko deserves more chances. Plus, people are really harsh to her sometimes and I don't get it. No, I get it. I'm not gonna say that word though. In contrast, Nekomaru did have a pretty complete story by the end of his time in Super Danganronpa 2. I just don't like the fact that he just had so little screen time. He was out of commission for 2 of the 4 chapters that he was a part of, and so we don't really get a chance to know him super well, and I think that's a wasted opportunity. I don't love his toilet humor, but I would like to see more of him. And then Mahiru, I just like her. I know people have issues with Mahiru for being a man-hater, but people can unlearn that behavior, yeah? I don't know. I just think it'd be nice to have her around for more. Fight me. Okay. Oh, fuck. Be right back. So I'm not so naive as to not realize that Kodaka games and Kodaka projects have been, slightly too overtly homophobic. Sometimes it's very obvious how it is homophobic, other times it's more subtle. We do not have the time to get in all of that. I'm trying to keep this relatively lighthearted. It's weird too, because Rancode introduced the first canonically non-binary character in Halara Nightmare, and they're not exactly great representation, but they're not bad representation either. In a different context, it might actually be kind of good. But then, immediately after the 100 line came out... Okay, so spoilers for the 100 line and trigger warning for sexual assault. Skip to this time code if you don't want to hear about it. In the 100 line, it's set up pretty early on that Takumi and Ito are basically going to be the coma hina of the 100 line. That is to say, the protagonist initially trusts the helpful and self-deprecating boy who ends up actually being crazy and borderline obsessive with the protagonist, and there's a lot of unnecessary feelings and such. It was so ridiculously obvious that they were setting up Ito to actually being crazy. Like, we called it within, like, the first couple of hours, if that. It's borderline hilarious. But what's not hilarious is that in one of the endings, Ito, underneath the influence of a very weird love potion, rapes Takumi, who is catatonic. And supposedly, I have not seen this for myself, and so if anyone has a source either confirming or debunking this, that would be great. But apparently the CG that they used to show Ito raping Takumi was also used in advertisement to show that there were going to be gay romances. It makes the Turbo Hell incident of 2020 seem like a queer masterpiece. And if you were around for 2020's Turbo Hell incident, Editor Tiny here. I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that I was able to track down a source for this in post-production, and it's not as bad as I thought it was. But the bad news is that they actually did use rape CG in promotional material. So there was a 100-line booth at the 2024 Tokyo Games Convention featuring this big collage of different CGs from the game overlaying the text, including the infamous rape scene. See, it's right there. Look at it. Actually don't. I'm gonna blur it out. It makes me sick. But if you want to fact check me, I'll include the link to where it's located, as well as a video showcasing the Cult of Takumi route, which is where the rape scene is located. So it's not explicitly calling attention to it as there being gay romances in the 100 line. It's still pretty gross though, especially since I saw some people getting hyped for the toxic yaoi they thought this CG was hinting at. We don't even have time to unpack all of that. Alright, back to the video. God, I hate it here. So the 180 from Halara Nightmare to that does legit make me worry about what they may or may not do with Coma Hina. Because when they first made Coma Hina, they did not know all of that was going to happen. They would not know that Coma Hina would become as big as it did. And I really hope that they do not get the fucked up idea to somehow give it the 100-line treatment. I don't even like Coma Hina, but I do not want that for any Coma Hina fan. Nobody deserves that. At least I could be at peace with the fact that I will never get my non-binary imposter, because they were too chicken shit to confirm it the first time they had a non-binary character, so it's not like they're gonna do it again. Moving swiftly onward before I lose my mind. Hope number 5 is retconning some parts of the anime series. Full transparency, I have not watched the Danganronpa 3 anime besides any scenes that the imposter was in because I'm starving. But I've read up on it enough to know that it more or less removes the student's complicity in becoming the remnants of despair and flattens it down to straight up brainwashing, and not the fun kind of brainwashing that makes things morally complex. So there has been some speculation that the B-side story will end up retconning some information that was established by the anime, and to that I say, let it rip. I have no attachment to the anime. There were some good qualities. I'm very biased. But take whatever parts that you like from the anime and throw the rest of them out. Do something more creative than that. And in lieu of that, despair number 5 is retconning parts of the game itself. Yes, I am excited that there is a new Danganronpa game, but I do still think that having a new Danganronpa game kind of undermines the message behind V3. The only reason I'm giving this kind of a pass is personal bias, but also that this is just a branch off of a pre-existing game, so it's not exactly a sequel, but it is. Feel free to debate it in the comments down below. But if the B-sides for 2x2 tries to connect the saga of Hope's Peak Academy to V3, I will in fact kill someone. It would ruin both continuities for me. I've already made peace that these two exist in separate timelines. We do not need to cross them. Just do yourselves a favor, team, and don't do it. And I am so fucking nervous that Kadaka is gonna pull an Uchikoshi and basically fuck up the timeline so much that it retcons what was already pre-established facts about the past Danganronpa games. And the reason I feel like this is even possible for Garaka to do is because that's what happened in the 100 line. I need to stop talking about the 100 line. This is not about the 100 line. Those are my main hopes and my main despairs for this game. But there is one last detail that is simultaneously my biggest hope and my biggest potential despair. It is the toothpick of this aspiration sandwich, the cherry on top. What are they gonna do to Tagami? If you think that my love for this big, beautiful babe has in any way lessened over the years, you would be sorely mistaken. If there is 10,000 fans of The Ultimate Imposter, I'm one of them. If there's only one fan of The Ultimate Imposter, it's me. And if there are no fans for The Ultimate Imposter, then I am rolling over in my grave because I did not do my job well enough to make somebody else love this character as much as I do. I have drawn so much fan art of them over the years. I have made a whole damn video talking about how much I love this character. I have reoccurring dreams about the imposter. One of them even happened the night before 2x2 was announced. I even commissioned a custom one-of-a-kind watercolor painting of them, and this is one of my most prized possessions. And I have been so starved for imposter content that I tapped into my Undertale AU roots, and I basically adopted them out of this game and made them into my own OC. They're mine now, Kadaka. You cannot take them away from me. I will give them the story that they deserve. This is reparations. Fans who have made the smart decision and got attached to literally any other character in this godforsaken game are in a better state than I am. The one good thing about having your favorite die early on is that there are less opportunities for the script to fuck them up and make you change your mind. The Ultimate Imposter is a good person who respects women, takes care of their classmates, loves food, and has major identity issues. It is not hard to make someone like them. And every second that they linger on screen is another second where the scriptwriter may just finally decide, you know what? Fuck the fat character. Let's take this the route of all the other fat characters that we've made in this game, and let's make them selfish, perverted, and a bastard. Let's make the audience hate them. So, all of that being said, I would be perfectly content if the imposter does not get a lot of screen time. I would much rather continue to starve until the day I die than to have a perfect meal poisoned. I am in a never-ending hell. Okay, let's talk about some predictions for the Blackens, the victims, and the survivors of this game. I am basing this partially off of vibes, but also what I think would be interesting. So take what I say with a grain of salt, but these are my final answers. Okay, so for the Blackened, I kind of went with an odd mix for these ones, but here's what I think. Kazuichi is going to be one of the Blackened. I love him still. I'm not feral about him like I am for the obvious, but I do still like Kazuichi. I do think, though, that he would be a pretty interesting Blackened. I think that his mechanical know-how would make it pretty easy for him to do so, and I think it'd be really interesting to see what an execution looks like. Okay, next one. Sonya. I think Sonya has it in her to be a killer when backed into a corner, and I would like to see an execution for Sonya. Next up, yeah, I think Tugami's gonna be one of the Blackened. That might sound contradictory to my whole manifesto earlier, but I do think if Tugami was going to actually kill someone, that it would be for a relatively benevolent reason. I struggle to see them as actively wishing to kill someone outside of feeling obligated to do so. This is just a personal theory of mine, but I feel like Tugami would only kill someone if it was to protect someone else, and then I don't know how they would justify not revealing themselves to be a Blackened, but I think there would be something to do along the lines of not wanting to be revealed even in death that they were an imposter and making everybody question their integrity. You didn't see that earlier sketch. You didn't. Alright, next one. Mahiru. I think girl's got it in her. She's one of the people I don't really have a whole lot of justification for, but I can see her easily killing in self-defense. And the last one, Nekomaru. Again, I don't really have any solid reasons to think he will be the Blackened, other than the fact that it would be kind of cool to see what they do for his ultimate talent's execution. He was the ultimate team manager, right? Alright, moving on to the victims. First victim, Mikan. Seems like a pretty easy target. I think someone's gonna target her. Why not? It would also be very funny, though, if they did kind of like a fake out where Mikan ends up dying, but she wasn't actually killed. She was just kind of clumsy. Also, if they kill Mikan earlier, less chances to ruin her. Next one, Chiaki. Chiaki is so connected to the secrets of SDR2 in general that keeping her alive for very long seems like you're playing with fire. So, makes sense to me that they would just kill her early on, and so we could, I don't know, slot someone else in there. Probably Kamina, honestly. Next one, Akane. I would actually like Akane to live, but this sounds mean. Not a lot of people like Akane, and so I feel like the team is going to kill her off early, just plain and simple. They've got other people to be the fanservice-y characters. Akane was just the most obvious one. Next up, Fuyuhiko. SDR2's original story is a very obvious divergent point already, and we'll get into Peko soon, but I think it'd make a lot of sense to kill Fuyuhiko off because he's already a well-liked character, has a fully fleshed out arc already, and so why not just send him off on his way? There's not enough people that are rabid about him, so I don't think they're going to kill the developers if they take out Fuyuhiko. Alright, next up, Ibuki. I was reading back through the comments of my first Danganronpa video ever, and a lot of people really want Ibuki to live, and I don't have any problem with Ibuki living. I just don't think that they're gonna let her live. You know what I mean? And then the last one, Teru. I'm kind of just manifesting this into existence. Unless he gets to be a better person, kill the bastard early on. And that, of course, leads us to the survivors. I don't know if they'll actually keep the same number of victims and survivors as they have in past games, but we'll see. So, first of all, I do think Hajime is going to end up being the protagonist and the survivor. I do think it would be pretty ballsy of them to actually kill off Hajime, because the only other step I can think of past making your protagonist the first killer is to make the protagonist be the first victim. Kind of a long shot because I think that they're going to pander the hell out of Komahina to the audience, but alas. Next one, Peko. Yeah, so the obvious divergent point is that Fuyuhiko ends up dying instead of her, and then she's left to figure out what her purpose is now that Fuyuhiko is gone. It's a pretty obvious and low-hanging fruit, so I think that would be cool for them to do. Next one, Gundam Tanaka. He's one of the popular characters that I would not mind surviving to the end. I do not know what more they could do with him, but I like Gundam enough that it'd be nice to see him still alive. So we'll kind of see what that ends up being like. Next up, Hyoko. I've gone over her so many times already. I want her to live. This is my manifestation for survivors. And the last one, Mr. Nagito Komaeda. I don't think that the game is going to be ballsy enough to actually kill off Nagito. I just don't. And again, I will kind of be miffed about that if it also doesn't mean that Hajime dies early, because then it feels like too much of repetition unless they decide to just really lean into the Komahina ship and just... There's just so many questions I have about this game. I'm excited, but I'm so scared. But on that note, that actually concludes the ending of my presentation. This video was very quickly put together, you might be able to tell that, but I really wanted to get this out early because I am excited about Danganronpa 2x2, and I'm cautiously optimistic. How much I will talk about this game when it actually comes out is to be determined, but it has reminded me that I still do love Danganronpa despite it all, and I will never be freed from it. We will all be in this internal hell together. But what do you guys think? Is there anything that you guys are particularly excited and hopeful about? Is there anything you're a little worried about? Feel free to tell me. I do not know how the release of 2x2 is going to fit into my schedule with talking about the 100 line. I might honestly wait until after it comes out and I have played it to actually talk about the 100 line, because it might not change things about how I feel about the 100 line, but it will be interesting nonetheless. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you all very soon. And until we meet again, go outside, touch some grass, and take it easy. This is TinyLeaf, signing off.